welcome to hello and welcome to Bad Dog Comedy TV, live comedy on YouTube. You're watching Slumber Party, and please welcome to your screens and go wild in the chat for your host, Ophira Calof.
Hello! Thank you, Connor, and thank you all so much for coming to the show. Welcome to Slumber Party, the favorite thing I do every 2 weeks, where I get to hang out with people that I love and not have to move off of my couch. My name is Ophira. I am your host for this show, and I am a disabled, white, femme-presenting, fat person. I have long brown hair that's tied in a top knot because it's a slumber party and also it's a pandemic. And I'm wearing thick-framed, teal-rimmed framed glasses, something of that nature, and a white and navy blue neck brace, and I'm sitting on my beloved couch that you can see a bit of in the frame. And behind me is a purple and gold wall hanging that I love quite a lot. So, how are you all doing? I hope everyone's doing okay and staying cool in the extreme heat outside, and managing to get the time and space to do some things outside in the shade or to connect. I know so many people have taken up gardening this pandemic, which has been beautifying my Instagram feed. I made the leap from having one cactus to having 2 cacti, so that's been a big thing for me. But especially during this time and all times, I am so thankful for this land that I'm on right now, and thankful to the caretakers who have been nurturing and stewarding this land, past, present, and future. And where I am currently is in Takaranto, and it's the territory of the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, the Wendat, and the Mississaugas of the Credit, and so many other nations that are both recorded and unrecorded. And you know, I just want to take the moment to thank them so much for their stewardship and ongoing care of the space, and also for us all to take a moment to think about what we are doing and what we can do better to actively work to decolonize our spaces and to fight the oppressive system that's happening right now. So let's just take a breath, take a minute. Okay. Thank you all again so much for being here. Today at this show, we're being joined by an amazing special guest. This human being has had me laughing ever since the day I met her. She has worn giraffe onesies. She probably knows the whole musical of Cats. She's an amazing stand-up comic that's performed at a bunch of different really cool shows, including the Real Abilities Comedy Nights. And she's here with us today. Let's welcome Desiree Walsh.
Hi, Ophira.
Hi. Thank you so much for coming to my party.
You're welcome.
Desiree, do you mind giving a visual description of yourself for the audience?
Sure. I am a Caucasian woman. I have pink lipstick on right now. I have forgotten completely what I look like. And I have red hair. It's dyed though, like not like natural. It's like red and brown highlights. And then I have a red t-shirt on, and the background behind me is just some white walls. And you can see my BA from Brock University and a mirror that I need to attach to the wall. And I have glasses.
Amazing. Well, Desiree, I'm so happy that you're here. Audience, I'm so happy that you're here too. Before we get into the meat of things, I have a confession, and that is that A, I love accessibility, and B, I know it's shocking, and B, as part of that, I have some house rules to this party to go over to make sure that we're all feeling at our most comfortable. So without further ado, let's see the house rules. Amazing. So the first rule is very straightforward. It is you do you. So please feel free to engage with the show in whatever way works best for you. Part of that, due to the magic of online digital shows, is that you can customize your experience. You can turn the volume down if you're like, oy vey, they're a bit loud. You can adjust the brightness. You can come and go. You can go to your kitchen. You can make a snack. Please make a snack. Please, keeping blood sugar up is very important. You can lie down. You can, have a dance party. And you can use the chat feature that I believe is this way, one of the ways. On the side of your computer screen that you can write in. We're going to have some time for specific questions that you can ask us. And also, feel free to share whatever you'd like to, as long as it's kind and use the chat feature. So the next rule is, this is part like B to the first rule. My apologies. To give you a sense of what to expect so that you can kind of figure out how you want to engage. Throughout the show, we're going to be working to integrate visual descriptions. So both Desiree and I at the beginning kind of gave you an idea of what we look like. And throughout the show, anytime we do something that's visual, we're going to work to describe it for anyone who is accessing the show by just listening and not by visually engaging with it. There will also be an archived recording of this show with professional captions added. And this is an ongoing thing. So this show is every 2 weeks. And 1 week after each show, that video will be available. And as you heard already, there's going to be a little bit of music and there's going to be a heck of a lot of silliness because it's a party. Things that there won't be at this show are strobe effects. So that's any lighting that's like really flashing or sudden lighting changes. And we also won't have any sudden noises. And that brings us to the schedule of the party. So we have already had the introduction and we're going through the house rules now, just getting everyone set up with what to expect. And then we're going to go into the entertainment section where we will be lucky enough to get to experience a stand-up set by Desiree. And then after that, we're going to have some snacks. We're going to chat. That's going to be a time for you to write in any and all questions, and we'll pick some of those out. And as we get towards the end of the show and I start feeling a bit loopy because, an hour is so long in a pandemic. I feel like I have naps every 30 minutes. We're going to do a silly little activity that I won't spoil yet, but I promise it won't involve any loud noises or any flashes. And then we shall say goodnight, and that'll be the show. So that brings us to the final rule, which is not really a rule, but basically this show, it's a free show. It's a free party. But if you happen to want to give a gift, Bad Dog TV, which is the platform for the show right now, is being run by donations. And right under in the comments, there's links to how to donate to help support and keep Bad Dog TV running, to keep the show running, and all of the other amazing shows. And you can also, right under the video, there should be a subscribe button that you can click if you want to keep up to date with everything going on this channel. And honestly, the shows are so good. I've spent so much time watching them because they're wonderful. So that brings us to the end of the rules. Desiree, how are you feeling?
I am feeling great.
Oh, That makes my heart so happy, especially because it's so hot outside. Very impressive to be feeling great in this heat.
I don't leave my house anymore, so it's always the same temperature.
This is a very good point. So here's the thing, because it's my party and, it's nighttime, it's kind of late, and I am controlling everything, as you can see from the schedule. I figured that you could just entertain me.
Sure.
Yeah? Are you feeling good about that prospect?
I am. You are in luck because I am a stand-up comedian.
Woo. Thank goodness. Then I'm going to sit back and relax. And I am so excited for this. So let's get ready for the next section, which is...
Is this where I start? Okay. So I forgot in the visual description to say that I actually use a wheelchair. I just wanted to get that out of the way. So you, the people watching the show wouldn't think I was doing some like really specific edgy shit about like the disabled and society. Majority of my jokes are about disability and society, as well as grated cheese. It's a well-rounded show. So, and I'm going to start with some pandemic jokes because that's what's on everyone's mind. The pandemic has actually been really good for me personally because it has finally got people, mainly walkies, to stop touching me when I go out. I'm not sure what it is, but all you walkies, that's anybody who doesn't have a wheelchair, always want to come up and like touch me or push me. And I mean, that's great if you want to help, but just like announce yourself. There's been quite a few times where I've accidentally elbowed a man in the crotch and it was awkward, but the pandemic's really solved that because now people just leave me alone. Also, I no longer have to hear stories about like your friend Mark, who is also in a wheelchair, which is great. Because before the pandemic, it would just be like, I am buying 3 bags of cheese and in the grocery store in my Garfield PJs at 12 a.m. I do not have resources for wheelchair basketball. Please leave me alone. But now the pandemic has solved that. It's really weird to do stand-up without laughing. So as I did say, I am disabled. And I just want to talk about language. Language really matters. For example, you shouldn't say handicapped, not because it's ignorant, but because someone may think you have a time machine and that you are from the 80s and that they may be able to escape 2020. They will be sad when they discover that you in fact do not have a time machine and you are just a dad with a trucker hat. We really shouldn't toy with people's emotions at this time because COVID is dangerous. You can, however, use the word crippled still, but the problem with the word crippled is that only certain people can say it. And oftentimes you do not know if you are that person till well after it is out of your mouth. There is a fine line between ally and asshole. Yeah, so that is hard. Now I'm gonna do some before times jokes because I don't leave my house anymore. So these were all pre-COVID. So I went on a date. Yep, that's right. It wasn't so much of a date as it was a man sat down beside me in Starbucks and asked how it was going, and I needed a win, so we're going to call that a date. And myself and this man got to talking about disability and the media. because I don't like small talk, like none of this how's the weather, I just go for it. And I told this man that I wish society and the media knew that disabled people do more than go to the bank and die. And now I think it's a good time to tell you what I do in the day. I work in a bank. That's right. I am part of the problem. I am a living stereotype. But some fun, dating people in wheelchairs is good. And like some fun facts, if you date a person in a wheelchair, you will never have to participate in fall activities again. That's right. Nobody who uses a wheelchair is going to wake you up one crisp October morning to go apple picking. Because there's nothing really hot about watching your able-bodied partner bend down to pick up dirt. Or, shoot, it's really weird to do stand-up with no laughter. What I'm trying to say is there's nothing really hot about bending down yourself to pick up dirty ground apples that your able-bodied partner and put them in a box that your able-bodied partner is holding behind you. And I think I'm going to throw back to Ophira now.
Desiree, I am crying.
You are so kind and polite. Your mom would be so proud.
The grated cheese is just so incredibly relatable because I only buy cheese as like pre-shredded because
Same.
Like, I got arthritis in my hands. Like, what? We're gonna make life a little easier, but then I sometimes eat it from just a napkin because I don't want to dish dirty.
Yes.
I don't want to have to wash the dish.
Yes.
Anyways, thank you so much for this. This is a great segue into our next section, which is snacks and chats. Okay, so Desiree, I was gonna first ask you about like general comedy questions, life questions, but something has taken precedence over this. I think we need to talk about why do people touch our wheelchairs? Why? Tell me.
I don't really know. This has been a question that has plagued me for the ages. The only thing I can gather from observing the walkies in the real world is that maybe it's concern, maybe they don't realize how annoying it is. I don't actually know. So that is something I have been enjoying in these times now, is that no one wants to touch me.
You know, so for people who aren't aware, because I'm on a couch right now, but when I go out and about in the world, I typically use a power wheelchair. And on like public transit, I think people sometimes feel like my wheelchair is a pole, which honestly, like it can be very crowded, you know, with lurching. If someone's like in a moment of panic, I get it. But unfortunately, often those same people don't realize that my shoulder is not an inanimate object. And it's always, the moment that they realize is always a little bit uncomfortable because they are fully grabbing my shoulder. And then it moves in response.
Yeah.
We cannot have that moment.
Yeah. I don't know if it's because I use a manual wheelchair and the back is pretty low. Like, people don't usually try to lean on it during public transit things. And usually they're pretty good about like not touching me on said bus. Like, I usually get it while I'm wheeling. Like, people will just take it upon themselves to like give me a little push or like start pushing. And like, that's like, first of all, that's not okay for like a myriad of reasons, but probably the biggest problem is like I can't see behind me. So if you're going to decide you need to help a person in a wheelchair, help them by asking first, and then if they say no, leave them alone. Even if you think you shouldn't, respect their autonomy and leave them the F alone. They've made the choice to carry the 3 bottles of wine in a paper bag in their teeth from the Loblaws. You may think it's a bad idea, and you're probably right, but they said they were good, so you leave them. You leave them with their wine and paper bag.
You know, back in the world where I left my apartment, you know, the old-timey times.
Yeah, before times.
I was doing self-checkout at Shoppers, and it's like a little bit of a stretch for me, but it's fine. And someone came and took my credit card to like try to bridge the distance. And they were so proud of themselves for like helping me not have to stretch. I was like, that's my credit card. I am very concerned right now.
But see, with that interaction, it would have been fine to be like, hello, my name is, would you like me to tap your credit card? Or is that a little bit weird? And you could have said yes or no, and it would have been fine. But now that they took it upon themselves to essentially mug you, it's awkward. And then if you say anything, which you always should, you look like the bad guy, and really, like, you're not, like, you're never in the wrong for, like, just wanting your own space. Or to control, or to not give your money to a stranger.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, to everyone listening, you're just getting all of the wonderful advice here.
Yes.
Which is so good. I want to take a brief moment to let everyone know if you have any questions for me or Desiree or both of us, feel free to write them into the chat. Also, I would like to shout out that I have a friend from high school who I haven't had any contact with for I think a decade, who commented, Ronnie, thank you so much for watching. This is so amazing, and I hope you're doing well. And also, you were the loveliest human in high school, and I'm quite certain that continued to now. So, as we see if anyone's going to write anything in the comments, Desiree, you are so hilarious. You make me laugh all the time. I'm wondering, what drove you to comedy in the first place?
So kind of what happened is I used to work with a woman, and then one of the consistent feedbacks I've always gotten in every job I've ever had is, you are very stupid, but you are very funny. And then one day, a lady I work with was like, you should actually try to be a stand-up comic. And I was like, I don't even know how to reverse engineer that dream. And she was like, you can take a course at Comedy Bar. And then I called Comedy Bar, and they are not accessible, but they recommended Second City. And so I took the course at Second City, and I kind of thought I'd do the like level 1 stand up at Second City, and like that would be it. But there was another booker in the crowd at my first, like, they have a little recital at the end where you can invite like your mom and dad and your friends, and some of the local producers come to watch people, and I got invited to do another, like, an actual show in a bar, like a real comic, and then like the rest is kind of history.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I started by taking classes at Second City too, just because of the whole elevator that occasionally worked, you know?
I have enjoyed the occasional elevator use myself. I have also learned that 6 flights of stairs are a lot of stairs.
Yeah, when you are someone who does not do stairs.
Yeah, when you don't stand up to brush your teeth, 6 flights of stairs are a lot of stairs to walk up.
Yeah, I am with you as someone who attempted it. I was like, I must make my show that's upstairs. And by the time I got upstairs, like a full hour later, pouring in sweat, everyone was like, maybe you just sit down for a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe we rest.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, something that I love about your comedy is that it's so. Why are you laughing already?
Because I did such a bad job. You just keep being like, I loved it.
I genuinely
it's really
did.
Nice.
I bet Connor, who's checking the show, probably saw my face the whole time. That was like fully like my cheeks were breaking. But I find that you have such a really great and badly needed point of view that you bring forward. I feel like as someone who I talk about disability in my comedy too, I always really appreciate your style because first of all, I find it so incredibly, I'm like, oh my God, that's me. Like I do those things. Although I've mentioned this before, but for that apple picking joke, I do believe that I could make that look good. I think if I got like a picker-upper to like get the apples and
I guess you could use a reacher.
Yeah, I feel like it would be stylish.
But
like apple.
But it makes the joke less funny if I'm like, you can, if you want to go apple picking really bad, like there are a lot of adapted devices you can probably use, and like they have all-terrain wheelchairs, so it might actually be a really fun day. Is like decidedly less funny.
That is a very good point.
Yeah.
But what my question is do you feel when you do comedy that there's like specific things that you're working to communicate? Do you feel like comedy for you is like just a fun kind of escape? Like what does comedy mean to you is kind of my question.
I do want to be one of those comedians that has like something to say and has like a really good message, and I haven't really figured out how to do that. But like above all, like the goal of comedy is to make the audience and or other people watching laugh. So like I'm always pretty mindful of it's not really about me. I mean it is, but like it's more about the audience and like making them laugh and like making sure they understand to have a good time. So I like, even though I would like you to learn something, I really want you to have fun first. Like I don't want you to leave my comedy like feeling good about yourself or being inspired. Because that is not what I want. I want you to go and have a nice time. And like, if one of my jokes about being disabled helps you not be an asshole to someone in real life, that's great. But it's fine too if you just want to continue being your own charming self.
I mean, not that we are advocating being an asshole, just to
No, but if that was how you were going, like
you do you. It was one of the rules.
I just like I find so often when people see, and maybe this is me generalizing and internalizing my own like general anxieties about being disabled, but I find so much when people see disabled people speaking in like a performing arts way, or even like apparently buying cheese at the grocery store, we have this like gut reaction as a society that we ought to be inspired by them. And like, I'm sort of here, like, I would like to further your opinion and understanding of the disabled, but like, I I am mostly here to tell jokes, and like it's not I'm not doing a TED Talk, although I would like to do one of those someday. Please book me, TED.
Ooh,
Talk.
yes. TEDx, TED Talks.
Yes,
There's a difference.
yes. TEDx. I don't really understand the TED Talk, the difference, but I want to do one of those things where you speak in the microphone and then they go viral, and it's fun. Even though my biggest
a big logo behind you. Very important.
Yeah. So if anyone is watching from there, you should book me, and I will do a PowerPoint presentation that will be much more put together than what you are seeing here.
Well, okay, I feel like you've been giving hints about the answer to this question the whole time. How are you feeling about the online world right now, as it pertains to comedy, but also as it pertains to everything? Everything's been moving online.
Actually, that hasn't, like, the real life part of things moving online hasn't actually been too much of an adjustment, because I already get, like, as a disabled person, and I also don't drive, so I typically get like most of my big things, especially in the winter, online. So like I do my groceries online, I pay bills online, like I do banking online, so like that wasn't really like a big stretch. I did used to be in the before times. I did used to work in an office for a bank, and that has moved to essentially my kitchen. I have a laptop in my kitchen now that I like exclusively work on for work, and that's been like a big adjustment because I'm used to like having to put clothes on to go to work and like getting in an Uber and like seeing coworkers. That's been the biggest adjustment, is like where I work, there was a really good team atmosphere and people would really help you out, so it's quite supportive. And like they're still available online and stuff and they call me, but there's some things sometimes when you don't understand that I just think like it'd be so much easier if you could just walk over like the before times and be like, do this, don't do that, and I would just be like, okay. And now it's about 10 emails and a phone call. So that's been an adjustment. But for comedy, that's also been an adjustment because, as I said in my little set, it's really weird to do comedy without audience feedback. And that's usually kind of how you get your confidence as a comic, is if people are laughing. It's good, and if there's silence, oh no. So that's been like an adjustment, and there is like Zoom open mics and Zoom shows, and those are actually been pretty good. Like it's quieter than normal, but sometimes people will leave their mics not muted if it's not too loud where they are, and you can hear them laughing. And then the thing that's been really good about Zoom mics is a lot of the comedy venues in Toronto are unfortunately not very accessible. So now I can go everywhere to every show. And it's been nice. And like you can also kind of go to different like mics you wouldn't normally go to. Like a lot of mics in the States are now going online. So I did like a mic in Philadelphia last night, and then I did a mic in California, and then on the last weekend I did a mic in Chicago, and then on Sunday last weekend I did a mic that is usually in a unaccessible bar in Toronto that I have been to with assistance, but I don't usually go because there's so many stairs, and it was nice to just be like, I can go to this. Oh. Yeah, so that, like, in a way that's nice, but I do miss, again, like, seeing other comedians and going and seeing an audience in person.
Yeah.
But, like, that's been kind of one of the perks that have been, like, kind of nice if we're gonna look at things positively.
if we're gonna do the glass full thing.
Yeah, if we're doing the glass is half full and not half empty.
Because we're so thirsty because it's so hot. I don't know if I've communicated this clearly enough, but I am sweating.
I have the same temperature all the time because I do not leave my house.
Well, I would just like to point out that, Desiree, we are both currently doing a TED Talk because the genius of Connor Lowe has put the TED background with big, large, like red, bold TED letters, the beautiful, like sweeping curtain, there it is, of like blue in shades with these lights that look like stars because we're famous. So you have it right here. We're doing the thing. This is probably the last chance for just a couple of minutes if anyone has any quick questions that they want to put in the chat. If no one has any quick questions, but they want to just put some giant like laughter, like the ha 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 ha, it would really boost the morale of both myself and Desiree. Oh, we have one. Thank you.
Or do we have any questions?
I'm just gonna.
I was excited for question period.
I mean, I just had so many that I really, really took it over. We're gonna give just a minute to see. Oh, we got giant laughter.
Oh.
Thank you very much. It's giant, ha 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 ha, which is the way that I laugh. So I very much appreciate that. Cool. Okay. If we don't have any more questions, I'm gonna talk slowly just in case one pops up. But we're gonna shift gears a little bit to the whole. I have to be honest, I have not been having snacks this show. I have too many dirty dishes to like justify dirtying anything more. And so
that's why you eat over the sink.
That is such a good idea.
Yeah, eating over the sink.
I just love eating on my couch so much. Like my couch is, it's just so supportive. It's always here. And I just feel like when we eat together, it's like I live with someone else that will never disappoint me. Monica says out of the pan snacks, which is too real. I don't know if anybody else, I don't know if anybody ever puts, like, if you make craft dinner, like, do people put it into a bowl? I don't think so, right? Because it's just in the pan. You make craft dinner and it's in the pot.
I think most adults eat it out of the pan.
I hope so, because that's the way I do
Unless you are being classy and having company and serving them craft dinner.
I mean, that feels like a little bit of an oxymoron. If you're being classy and have company, just order delivery.
Maybe they wanted some home cooking.
That is my version of home cooking.
Actually, I always screw craft dinner up, even though it's like the easiest thing to make. I somehow undercook it and overcook it all at the same time.
I sometimes don't mix the lumps of the powdered cheese well enough and end up with a bite that's just like poof, powder.
Oh, I have also done that. It's gross.
Well, okay, now that we're talking about snacks, we're going to move in to the next phase of the slumber party, that whole 2 a.m.-esque activity when we're getting a bit loopy, which feels like we're doing. So let's move into the next phase, which is silliness.
Okay.
So, for those watching and or listening and or experiencing in whatever way they're experiencing, whether in real time or later, Desiree and I have had many a conversation about the fact that commercials do not feature disabled people. Now, as a caveat, they sometimes feature disabled people in the very specific capacity of like, inspiration porn, which Desiree kind of alluded to before. And if that term is new to you, look it up. It'll be such fun reading. I promise it's not
There's
real
actually
porn.
a really good, I forget her last name, but there's a really good TED Talk done by, her name is Stella, on like inspiration porn. It's pretty entertaining and also educational. So if you wanted to go check that out after you check this out, you could do that.
Yeah, she is hilarious, and as Desiree said, it's also educational. So I figured that for our silly activity, we're already auditioning for TED Talks here. We may as well audition for commercials to show that, disabled people can do commercial things just like everybody else.
Yeah.
So in order for us to do this, I have a list of some typical things that people do in commercials. I'm going to say them. I'm going to act as the director of this commercial audition. And Desiree, I would like you to demonstrate, and then I'll visually describe what you're doing to everyone watching. So let's start with, let's start with I have a secret. In commercials where they're like, ooh, like, I know about this product that no one else knows. What's your look for that?
This is not what I was expecting.
Yeah!
I don't even know.
Desiree made a face with epic surprise, arms raised. Oh my God, guys.
This is more like my house is on fire, but you know,
hopefully that wouldn't stay secret for long, because we would like to deal with houses being on fire. Okay, let's try another thing. So I like to call this one, I have friends who text me, and it's when they're like looking at their phone and then like go, because they've read something funny. Let's give Desiree a shot.
I read something funny. I have lots of friends and I'm very popular. That's why I'm ignoring you now.
So as a visual description of this process went from Desiree being thoroughly entertained by whatever was on her phone, laughing and smiling a lot, to steadily going more and more deadpan as she explains how popular she was.
I am very popular.
Okay, let's try the next one, which, I believe that Desiree has a prop.
I do, and I just want to explain. Or did you
go for it?
So largely, commercials that feature disabled people are financial institutions, and my thing is like, people with disabilities do more than go to the bank and die. Like, they eat Cheerios.
And Desiree is displaying a box of Cheerios and grilling Coca-Cola.
You don't even need to walk to eat Cheerios. Usually you sit down anyways. So why not have a disabled actor or someone in a wheelchair eating Cheerios?
I feel like you have done the next part of this audition brilliantly already. Desiree also held up a bowl with the spoon. She's ready to go. Let's try when they're like Cheerios, the blah, 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 blah. Can we do one of those?
Cheerios are for everyone, not just white cisgender males and children.
Amazing. Okay, I think for the final bits of this commercial, Desiree, I think if you feel up to it, if I will pass on the challenge, you may refuse this task.
Okay.
Do you want to try doing the whole pouring the Cheerios, taking a bite, and give us the full experience?
I have pre-opened the Cheerios because I thought this might happen. Oh my!
The Cheerios
that is a lot for pretend.
The Cheerios are being held up to the camera.
Yeah. They don't have milk on them because I'm in my bedroom and I get the dropsies.
The Cheerios have been swallowed. What is the reaction? Or they're in the process of being chewed, and then they will be swallowed. I am making Desiree laugh, which is not conducive to chewing or swallowing.
Commercials don't actually eat, is what I've learned. They did taste great. Don't do this on Zoom. Zoom meeting. Don't be that person and eat. It's really gross.
Wait, we're waiting. What is your reaction to the Cheerios?
Oh, they're good.
They're good. I mean, I feel like we just did a full commercial for Cheerios.
We did.
And if you don't get hired with this footage that we can cut into a reel and put together and just email to the Cheerios main office.
We should. I think it'll go well.
I think so too. We got the whole range of commercial skills too. We got the surprise, the look at the text, the modeling and the biting and smiling. I think that this is going to solve ableism in media as a whole.
Yeah. Just like Tyra Banks ended racism in about 1998.
Yes,
if you're like, no, she didn't.
Yeah.
You did not. Yeah.
Yep.
That was funnier in my head.
I mean, alas, systems of oppression are surprisingly hard to untangle.
I know, one racially ambiguous photo didn't do it off a slightly problematic show like America's Next Top Model. Who knew? Who knew that wouldn't just end everything?
Alas. And yet here we are. So, we're getting to the time of wrapping up. But Desiree, what is this future pandemic life looking like for you?
It's looking like a lot more Zoom open mics or like Zoom shows. So I guess follow me on Instagram if you want to hear more about my Zoom shows.
Amazing. Let's bring up. So Desiree, what's your Instagram?
I think it's Desiree.lisa.walsh_.
Amazing. And for me, you can follow me on Instagram at ophira.c. And you can also catch up with Slumber Party. So the show is Tuesday nights, every second Tuesday evening. So we'll be back in 2 weeks with a new special guest each time, all from couches, the comfort of couches. I would like to take this minute to thank Bad Dog so much for the space. Really, that subscribe button for Bad Dog TV, I would very much encourage you to click it.
Yes, like and subscribe.
Yeah.
And turn on the bell for notifications. I don't understand, but I've always wanted to say that because that's what all the YouTubers say.
Amazing. And then if you want to contribute to help keep this show and other shows going, please do so. We appreciate it so much. And you know, Bad Dog TV is doing great. And I want to thank Coco Galore and a huge giant thank you to Connor Lowe for teching this show and pulling up the TED Talk picture, because I just really feel like I've unlocked an achievement personally.
Me too. That was great.
And that is all for tonight. Thank you all so much for watching. And Desiree, thank you so much for coming to my party.
Oh, you're more than welcome. This was great. I'm going to go to the kitchen and put milk on these, because dry cereal is gross.
May we all have an evening filled with cereal that has milk or almond milk, or if you like it dry, good for you. But that is the end of the show. Thank you all so much. Stay cool and get some sleep, because rest is very important. Okay, good night.